I'm myself a person of faith, but nonetheless, we believe that the state and religion should be separated, and that would generate more respect for the Jewish faith and would allow people, for instance, who like to marry each other, if they're two guys, two women, so on and so forth, to do that. And of course, you see there's some more than expected. And I'll just end with, of course, I'll just add with the notion that Israel's security and well-being is also connected to have peace with our neighbors. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ambassador Oren, please.
Be careful. On? On. We're done. Good, good, good. Erev Tov. Thank you for coming out today. Thank you to Jerusalem Post. Thank you to ACI. Thanks. I came here 40 years ago. Wow. 40 years. I lived around the corner. I lived on our Barbanel Street. I was Chayal Boded in the paratroopers. Today, 40 years later, I'm proud to be the world chairman of the Centers for Lone Soldiers, which meets in the Great Synagogue. And a couple weeks ago, I was delighted to have Kabbalat Shabbat dinner here with lone soldiers. So it's a great honor always to be involved with that. I came here from New Jersey. Anybody here from New Jersey? Yay. I always said I spent more time defending the state of New Jersey than defending the state of Israel. Perfectly good state. But I came with a conservative background, little Zionism. Nobody in my family made Aliyah. I don't have any family in this country other than the family sitting in the front row here. And I came out of a deep sense of Zionism. I came out of a deep sense of love for the Jewish people. And Zionism for me was always about responsibility. It was synonymous with Zionism. Taking responsibility for ourselves as a people, taking responsibility for our security, for our infrastructure, for our society. And as moving to a Zionist and Jewish state meant that the Jewish state could never turn its back on the weak, on the immigrant, on the aged, on the poor. That was inherent in my belief in this country. And I served it. I served it in various public capacities. I met my wife here while working at Israeli radio, by the way. Sally, say hi. In the front row, while working at Israeli radio, and we raised 3 kids in the southern part of the country in very difficult circumstances, 3 kids in one room. We knew what it was to struggle here, but when I came here in the 70s, we knew that if we worked hard enough, eventually we can get that little apartment and then expand it, little room by room in the Israeli fashion. Today, when I have Israeli grandchildren, I'm not sure they'll have the same opportunities that we had. Not at all. Eventually, I became Israel's ambassador to the United States. I served there from 2009 to the end of 2013. An extraordinary privilege for me, but also great difficulty. One of the great difficulties I had there was meeting young Israelis, hundreds of them across the United States, who said to me, you know, Mr. Ambassador, we don't care about doing Miluim, we don't care about the security situation, we want to go home, but we can't go home. Can you promise that if we go back to Israel, we'll be able to make a decent living, we'll be able to buy a home someday? And it tore my heart out. As someone had gone that whole route the other way, from the United States to here, and struggled here to make it, to hear these wonderful young Israeli kids whom I couldn't say to go home because I could not promise them a future here that they could look forward to buying a house and making a respectable living. And when I came back to Israel, I met the parents of these kids who begged me to help them bring the kids back. I didn't have an answer for them. And so I met Moshe Kahlon. Moshe Kahlon, the head of the Kulanu party, devised a party. The only party that focuses on the monopolies that control this economy, that make your housing prices some of the highest in the world, your food prices some of the highest in the world.
Time.
2 seconds. That, to me, is the essence of the responsibility. This is a party that is taking responsibility. We'll talk more about the diplomatic segment. We're taking responsibility for the diplomatic level too. But a last word. We did not come back to this country after 2,000 years of exile to watch it die for the price of housing and the price of groceries. And my party and myself, we're committed to preventing that from happening. That's our responsibility.
Thank you. Okay. Now, the former minister, Benny Begin from Likud.
It does. Shavua Tov. I'll try to describe, in short, of course, the basic issue and the basic division and the basic dividing line is between Israel, is of course between right and left. However, according to the same dividing line, the real difference is between right and wrong. And I'm saying that out of a long experience. I'm saying that in conjunction with what I feel would be the expectation from adults, from mature people, to sort out important issues from even more important issues. And when saying that, I mean to distinguish between two sorts of issues. One sort is what my friend, I think, am I risking, if I call Michael, then he has 1 minute, or I say the person on my left, okay, and I avoid the penalty.
If you say something negative, you get the rebuttal.
We heard Michael very eloquently describing social economic issues. What's typical of these issues is the following. When solutions are proposed or were proposed for these issues, these solutions are always reversible. You take a course, you take a decision, either you were wrong from the outset or situation and peripheral conditions changed, and you are free to go back to the drawing board and take a corrective step and rectify the problems. On the other hand, there are the higher or deeper political decisions that have to do with our basic defense and basic life. And we know of two recent examples in the last 20 years in which decisions have been taken or were taken, and there's no way back, essentially. They are irreversible.
Wrap up, please.
I'm sorry?
The 3 minutes are up, so just last couple
And
sentences.
or if you want to reverse, the price paid on that is actually prohibitive. Two examples, one the Oslo Agreement, then the bilateral, and then the unilateral withdrawal and relinquishing of the Gaza area, and the results are known to everyone. And since I know my friends and my colleagues in the left camp of Israel, and I respect them, and I take them seriously, I know, as you know, that the basic difference would be that they are ready, some of them are keen on putting Judea and Samaria on a giveaway table. This is dangerous.
Mr. Begin?
And this is the difference. And for that matter, I think Likud
Thank you.
stands strong on the right side. Thank you.
Okay, now we have MK Nachman Shai from Zionist Union. And just reminding everyone that we have 3 minutes each.
I have two responsibilities tonight. One is to address you, and B, to make sure that Benny Begin will not fall down somewhere, and he's a very dear friend of mine, and I do care for you. So I hope to carry both of them in the same success. Good evening, everyone, and Shavua Tov to you. I know I represent the minority tonight in this hall, but that doesn't mean that we are not right. We are not right, are we? So we stand right, I'm right to you at least, Benny. So never lose hope, even in this big hall. I used to live not far from here. I love this place, I love this city, and I will always come, even if one person in this audience will support me, at least is a good reason to come and try to convince you to do something which I believe in, which is to vote for Hamachaneh HaTzioni this time. Just think about that. What is it? Anyhow, we are at this time a new party, actually made of two old ones, the Ha'avodah and Hatnu'ah. Yitzhak Herzog and Tzipi Livni created a new political movement, which is now the only challenge to the Likud 6 years, actually 9 years in power. We believe it's time to change. It's time to change. I realize that in this corner, there is some hope. Thank you, guys. Thank you, appreciate it. Anyhow, the policies that we intend to take are different than the Likud's. When it comes to security, I think we are more or less on the same place. When it comes to Iran, we fully support the government policy towards Iran. We fully support, except the recent speech in Washington, that even my friend Michael Oren will agree with me that this was not the right time and the right place to carry this speech. Ooh. Even Michael Oren will agree with me. But at the same time, I said, when it comes to Iran and to some other major security issues, we are carrying the same responsibility, and we share a very wide national consensus. We disagree on the government on one basic issue: how to save Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. We believe that the solution is two-nation state for two people. Unfortunately, the government, even following the famous Bar-Ilan speech of the government, did not go this way. We intend to renew the negotiation between us and the Palestinians and try to reach that solution, not for the benefit of the Palestinians, but for the sake of having a Jewish democratic state that you all were born on or made aliyah to, because I believe this is what Zionism is all about. And on the other front, because I know I'm running out of time, I want to say that we intend to take care of the socio-economic situation in this country, which deteriorated in the past 6 years. We have to create a better Israel where most of the people will share the same life conditions, and there will be no poverty as much as it is now. There is a lot of things to say about that, and I hope I will have time to explain how we intend to do that. Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Begin will have a chance to give his rebuttal when I ask a question about U.S. relations and Iran. Right now, for the opening statements, I want to remind everyone to talk about your own parties and not everyone else's. So now to Ayelet Shaked from Bayit Yehudi.
Good evening to everybody, Shavua Tov. I'm glad to be here. Actually, I've been here in the Shabbat, and I came also to this synagogue. It was very nice. So the Jewish Home actually is the only party today who said loud and clearly that we object a Palestinian state. We are not afraid to say, both in Israel and around the world, that we are not agree to give any inch of the land of Israel to the Arabs, no more. And we are saying it in Israel, in Europe, and in the US as well. We respect the US, we think they are our best allies, and the relationship between Israel and the US are very important. It's strategic allies, and we know that, we owe them a lot. But it's not necessarily said that we need to agree on everything. So when it's come to Israeli security and Israeli destiny, we definitely have our own views. You know that Einstein defined insanity, that you are trying to do the same action over and over again and look for different results. So no more. We finished with the insanity of Oslo. Thank you. Regarding the economy, we believe in free economy with social sensitivity. Mr. Bennett, in his Ministry of Economy in those last 2 years, broke monopolies, encouraged competition in the market with few steps that he did, and actually the expense rate came down in 5%, the expenses rate. So we just need more time in order to continue and do it. Also, regarding the Jewish identity of the state, we are a bridge between the secular, the Orthodox, and the ultra-Orthodox. It's important to us to strengthen